Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm Martin. I work for Igalia, and here's the thing. So what if I told you that in the Yocto project, that has been a tool that can give you over-the-air updates and seamless updates, and it's been sitting there for a few years, and nobody has touched it, apparently. So yeah, there is, and it's called like systemd-sysupdate. And the goal of this talk is basically just to explain what this tool is, and also show how you can use it in the Yocto project. So let's start with sysupdate. So what is it? It's basically a tool that allows you to have atomic updates for different types of resources. It can be files, directories, partitions, and other things. These updates can come from remote or local sources. For example, it can be like a web server through HTTPS, or it can be just a directory. You can have parallel installed version of these resources, like in A, B, C, or whatever like style. And it's relatively small, depending on how you see it. For example, in the demo that I'm going to show, it's like 10 megabytes and roughly like 5% of the original image that didn't have the tool enabled before, right? So, and the most important thing, this is available since systemd 251. So yeah, it's already available in some of the LTS versions of the Yocto project. Optionally, there's other things that this tool can do. It has some built-in services, for example, for regularly checking for updates and even rebooting the system. It has a DBoss interface for applications integration. And there's other like optional things, like, for example, you can group some resources, so you can enable or disable those together, and that's called like features. And because it's part of systemd, this leverages other mechanisms that are already baked in, like, for example, like automatic bus assessment, and takes advantage of things like systemd boot. Before I actually show you how this works with the Yocto project, I'm going to do like a high-level thing. So basically, these are the things you need for like any OS to use sysupdate. You need a way to tell sysupdate what is the current version that you're running. You need a way to version the resources that you want to update. And you need to tell sysupdate what are these resources, right? So I'm going to explain that now. So, and this is a disclaimer. Of course, like this is just an overly simplified demo. Please do not like take this, put it on a rocket to the moon, and then like tell Greg and Martha that you did your CRA like homework, right? So with that disclaimer, so of course, this demo just starts with a Poke image with a few modifications. For example, it uses like systemd, of course, for the init manager, and systemd boot, because it gives some extra functionalities I'm going to explain. And I'm using a custom image with UKIs, which stands for Unified Kernel Images. There are many good reasons for using Unified Kernel Images, but for the sake of this presentation, I'm just using it to reduce the amount of resources that I have to update, okay? Yeah, you can read more about like what UKIs are about. So, yeah, of course, I have my Kickstart file. I basically have two partitions, one for my boot partition, where the UKI file is going to go. And then I have my root.fs partition. The only thing special about this is that I already assigned the proper like part types to these partitions according to the discoverable partition specification. So in terms of the update, for a full OS update of this, there's basically two resources that I want to update. One is the UKI, and the second one is the root.fs, which well, the UKI is just a file, and the root.fs is a partition. Both are supported by sysupdate, so we can move along. So going back to the thing that I explained before about like the things we need to do. So the first step is basically just adding the image version to OS release. This way, sysupdate can know like what is the current installed or running version. And yeah, you can read more about like exactly what are the formats that are available, and you can use different things to do this, right? The other thing is that you need to version your resources, the resources that you want to update. For example, instead of just having a UKI.efi file, now I have to name it UFI_image version.efi, right? So sysupdate knows how to handle this, right? And the other thing that I want to update, my second resource, is actually the whole root.fs. So I'm actually also versioning it by having the partition name being like underscore image version, and you will see later like how this makes sense. Okay, so the next thing will be just to enable and configure sysupdate. The first thing is kind of the obvious things. You have to build systemd with sysupdate enable, and for example, you can also enable sysupdate D, which is the debug service. The very important thing here is that you also have to provide something called transfer file. So for every resource that you have to provide a transfer file to tell sysupdate exactly like where the updates are coming from and where that update is going to. One of these per resource that you want to update. So in this case, right, we need one for the rootfs and we need one for the UKI, right? So let's see like what these transfer files look like. For the rootfs, basically a transfer file has 3 sections. The first section is just transfer, which is just general properties about the transfer. In this case, I'm telling to protect the version A, right, the first version. Then we have the source section, where we're basically saying where this update is going to come from. For example, in this case, it's going to be a URL file. So I'm basically putting there the URL of my update server, and I'm giving it some pattern for it to understand like which of the resources that is serving through this web service corresponds to this resource, right? And then the target, which in this case is a partition of type root, and is going to match with the underscore image version, right? That's what the V there is standing for. And I'm only going to have like 2 instances for this, because I'm only interested in an A/B schema, right? The same thing goes for the kernel. Like we have the transfer, we have the source, but for this one, the target is just a regular file, which is going to live like under the boot partition, under the EFI Linux path, and then I have all these different like patterns to identify it. Like the last one is the basic one, but the others are like the ones you could potentially see, like if boot assessment is like running. And of course, I only have like 2 instances of this as well, right? Plus, for my keystart file, I need to add, because I'm going to have like A, B partitions for the rootfs, so I need to add like an extra partition, which has to be exactly the same as the A partition, right? Except that initially, I'm just going to call it underscore like empty, and it's going to be like really empty, right? And of course, like how do we serve these updates? Like I said, it can be just like a web server, and this is like the most simplistic example possible. So we see here the contents. These are the different versions of the rootfs and the different versions of the UKI, and the SHA-256 sums is basically just like some sort of, yeah, it acts as a manifest to tell like what is available to sysupdate. Yeah, then you can serve this with your preferred web server, which in my case, I'm super lazy, and this is just a demo, so I'm just using Python, right? So now comes the boring part, which is showing how this is actually working, right? So I built this image, and I did all the steps that I showed. And let me go here. So, okay, this is the version 0 of my image, right? Like there's no update at all. I'm showing there that the web server is running, and these are the contents of my like server, which only has the version 0 of my rootfs and UKI, right? So here I'm just making sure that I'm actually running the proper image, right? I can see that the image version is just the 0 version, and if I look at the boot partition, I can see that there's only like one UKI, which is the UKI 0 version, okay? So now if I try to update, which is update.ctl is one of the front ends, it's going to tell me, of course, there's no available update. But now I'm going to just cheat because this is just a presentation, and I already pre-generated some updates, and I'm just going to drop those updates into my server. And now if I check, it detects that it has a new version, which is of course called 1. And now I'm going to run the update.ctl update, and it's done. Now I just need to restart my system, and then we'll see that systemd boot already defaults to the newer version, and we're going to boot that one. And we're just gonna make sure that I'm actually running the proper partition and that the UKIs are still there where they should, both versions, right? So yeah, I can see there that I can see already like the image version is 1, and I can see the UKI version 1 as well, but the UKI version 0 is still there, of course. Now again, I'm gonna try to check update. There's no update. I'm gonna repeat this, and I'm basically just gonna add another version, version 2, no surprise, and I'm gonna check. Again, it detected. I'm gonna just update, and I'm gonna reboot again and repeat. So now, of course, it defaults to the version 2. There's no version 0 anymore. And yeah, just gonna make sure that I'm actually running the proper thing. Again, I'm checking the OS release file. I see image version 2, and also I can see the UKI version 2 as well. Now, if I still have time, just gonna do one more thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna go back to a previous version and make sure that everything is running as supposed. So I just rebooted. I went back to the version 1, and I'm gonna yeah, check again the same thing. So I'm running the proper partition, and I can still see that everything is there. But now if I check if there's an update available, of course it's gonna say no, because sysupdate understands what's going on, and I just went back to another version, and there is literally no newer version in the server, so there's nothing to do, right? And here I'm just checking, and it detects that the version I'm running now is the protected version according to how I define that in my transfer file. So, of course, I hope I have conveyed like in 10-ish minutes that this is a very simple mechanism to use. But of course, has limitations. So sysupdate-wise, something important that it's missing is the delta updates. There's already discussions about like how to implement this, which is basically like a plugin like architecture. So this can be done like in different ways for different scenarios. Like Yocto-wise, well, as I just shown, I mean, you can enable sysupdate, version your resources, like and do all those other steps. I mean, to me, it doesn't look like much, but of course, I imagine that there will be like better, ways to do this integration. I don't know if in a separate layer or something like that. Yeah, I guess I'm in the right place to ask. So, and demo-wise, like the demo that I show, it uses like UKIs, like systemd and all of that. So it's like very UEFI firmware dependent. So, if that's not available, then it could be more complicated, of course, right? So yeah, lastly, yeah, there's some recommended readings about this. There's literally very, very little about this, like at all, not Yocto specific, like just at all. So I recommend reading like these 2 articles because they are really good at explaining like, how this works and like different ways of integrating sysupdate and working with it. But I'm hoping to make this presentation a proper blog and actually release the demo sources so anyone can actually have like a running version as a sort of starting point or reference. And with that, thank you for your attention. And if you have questions, I'll be here, or you can send me an email. So thank you.